Jeremiah 2, it's so sad to see the way we treat you, God, and just reading this scripture, it's convicting, but it also teaches us about the past ways of Israel and how we can act differently and how we can change that, God. So you said, is Israel a slave? Was he born into slavery? We were not born into bondage, but we stay stuck in things that God has delivered us from. And that is so, and it sounds so backwards. It really doesn't make sense, but it's like 9 times out of 10, we're asking you, God, to deliver us from things, but those things are comfortable. Those things are seen as desirable to the world. And so though our mouth asks for change, our heart posture and our intentions want to be there. And then you say your own evil will discipline you. A lot of the times God will warn us not to do something, and because we want to do it and we don't care what God says and we go out and do it, it's like the evil and the disobedience that we chose us to. And so God can say, okay, I don't want you going out with those group of friends. And then you end up going out with them and then you go to jail for whatever reason. Your own evil and your own disobedience to God will discipline you. If you don't want to listen to God, you will see the fruit of your actions. Recognize how evil and bitter it is for you to abandon the Lord your God. That is so sad to hear. It's like your parent talking to you and telling you but in a loving way, and your parent just telling you I have done everything for you, I have raised you, I have tried for you, and I haven't just been there for you physically but emotionally. I've been with you through everything you've been feeling, only for you to abandon me for a stranger. And I always get so sad when I hear God say, recognize how bitter and evil it is for you to abandon God. And it really is. It really is bitter and evil. Every time we have a problem, we go to Him. Every time we need a solution, we go to Him. Every time we need money, we go to Him. Every time we need a situation to be handled, we go to Him. Every time we need deliverance from our enemies, we go to Him. Every time we need protection, we go to Him. But the minute we feel like we can handle it on our own or we can fix it on our own and we throw God to the side, it's like you're using Him. And the thing is, it sounds so backwards. I'm still trying to understand why God is the way God is, because in our world, if somebody keeps using you and only coming to you when it's beneficial for them, you set boundaries and you no longer have anything to do with them, because you recognize that they're using you and they're going to keep coming back and taking what they want and then leaving you. But for some reason, we do that to God all the time, and He always takes us back. And I just don't understand why. But the Holy Spirit just gave me some understanding. I guess why is because He knows our heart, and so He knows our intention. When we're friends with somebody and they're continuously using us and taking what they want from us and then leaving, we don't know their deep purest intention. We don't know their heart. We don't know why they have a tendency to use and forget. We don't know any of those things, but God sees all. He sees what happens before us, after us, in between. He knows exactly who we are, so that it's easier for Him to understand us and to still stick with us even though we continuously abandon Him. And then the other part says, Jeremiah 2 verses 20 says, for long ago I broke your yoke, I tore off your chains. You insisted, I will not serve. On every high mountain, you lay under every green tree, you lay down like a prostitute. So to me, this verse meant I've helped you. I broke off those chains. I did things that you thought were impossible. And I asked you to serve me. I asked you to be obedient to me, because we're not going to be in a relationship with, every relationship needs communication. Every relationship needs reciprocation. And so God's not going to be I'll break off these chains and then you can go, create more chains and I'll come back and break them off for you. He says, I'll break off these chains, but I need you to be obedient to me. And that's not just because, it's an exchange thing. I do this for you, you do this for me, but it's because I'm doing this for you. And it's really not a 50-50 thing like we think it is. God delivers us from something and then we're obedient to Him. And of course he gets the glory out of it, but then we also get protection. So it's like God does way more for us than we do for him. Like our relationship with God is like an 80-20 relationship. Like we do 20% of the stuff and he covers majority of the stuff. And so God's saying, I broke your chains, I broke off your yoke, and yet you still said, I will not serve. So you only talked to God when you needed something. And when he did what you needed him to do, you said, I will not serve. And then God said, I planted you a choice vine from the very best seed. How could you then turn and degenerate foreign vine? So the note that I wrote here was, God is saying, I put you in a position of greatness, but you rather be in a position of disgrace. And then God says, even if you wash with lie, even if you use great amount of bleach, the stain of your iniquity is still in front of me. So I wrote in the note, no matter what you do to get rid of it, what you did is still there. You can try to hide it with pride. You can try to hide it with success. You can try to hide it with achievements. You can try to hide it with good deeds. But at the end of the day, God's not saying that like, oh, like no matter what you do, you're never going to be forgiven because I still know what you did. Like, it's not in that way. God is saying you're trying to hide it and you're trying to fix it on your own, but I still see everything you did. And no matter, because okay, I don't know if this is a good example, but like I know, like in some of these rap songs, rappers are rapping about how, they shot somebody or they killed somebody, then they had to use bleach to get the stain out of their shirt. And God's basically like, in this passage, what I get from it, like the image I see is somebody killing somebody, doing a sin, right? And they have blood or residue from that sin on their shirt, and their shirt is white, a pure shirt, so you can see the residue from it, right? So they were pure and they splat blood onto their shirt, which is their sin. And so then they start taking soap and water, which is, things that the world would tell us to use. Then they start taking soap and water and trying to wash out the blood, and it doesn't work. Then they start using bleach to try to take it out, and it still doesn't work. And God is saying, the stain of your iniquity is still in front of me. I'm seeing the blood on your shirt. Do you forget that I can see everything? I'm seeing everything, and I'm seeing you trying to wash it. I'm seeing you try to fix it. I don't think you're dirty. I don't think you're filthy. I don't think you're unworthy. But I do want you to come to me and give me all of those feelings. I do want you to come to me and give me your sin. And I want you to be genuinely sorry. I want you to repent, which means to return to me. But you're too busy trying to fix a mistake that can't be fixed because your iniquity is still in front of me now. Then it says, how can you protest? I am not defiled. I have not followed any of the Baals. Look at your behavior in the valley. Acknowledge what you have done. So in the notes I wrote, we often have too much pride and we think that we're pure, but we have to be aware and own up to our mistakes. A lot of the times we're like, God, well, I might have lied to my mom, but I don't smoke. I might have gossiped a little bit, but at least I don't steal from people, right? And it's like we come to God with this pride in us, and we're all like, oh well, at least I don't do this, at least I don't do that, and we're comparing our sins when God says no sin is greater than another sin. All sins are weighed the same, and the only sin that is unforgivable is blasphemy towards the Holy Spirit. And so God is saying, instead of you trying to tell me and prove to me that you're not defiled, that you're not sinful, that you're not a sinner, what I would really appreciate is your humility, because God rewards humility. He says, I would really appreciate if you would look at your behavior, look at the behavior of what you do, and acknowledge what you have done. Just say what you have done. Don't say, God, forgive me for my sins, and then that's the end of your thing. I repented. I said, God, forgive me of my sins. No, God says, I want you to get into those sins, not because I want you to feel guilty, not because I want you to feel shameful, not because I want you to feel judged, not because I want you to feel condemned, but I need you to get to that sin, because the minute you're able to explain that sin, you can actually get to the root of a lot of the reasons why you react the way you do. And so then after that, I wrote a couple other notes, which was, God gives us clear instructions, yet we come up with the littlest, God gives us clear instructions, yet we give up with the littlest amount of pressure, and we rather take the easy route out. And I took that from the verse that says, Keep your feet from going bare and keep your throat from getting thirsty. But you say, it's hopeless. I love strangers and I will continue to follow them. And so to me, that verse meant like God will give us clear instructions, but to us, it seems so hard. And the reason it seems so hard is because in our human minds that are very little and puny, we try to understand what God is saying without asking the Holy Spirit for understanding. And once again, that's that pride of thinking that you know it all and that you can figure it all out on your own. And so that's why when God gives us instructions, it appears to be harder than it actually is. And that's because we're trying to figure out these instructions on our own and we have no clue what we're doing. And so we say, I love strangers. I'm just going to continue to follow them anyways. We say, I love the easy route. I love, like I'm comfortable in this way. And I'm just going to follow it anyways because the plan is already mapped out. I don't have to play the guessing game. So, and then I'm going to say one more thing that I highlighted, and it was for they have turned their back to me and not their face. Yet in their time of disaster they beg, rise up and save us. But where are your gods that you made for yourself? Let them rise up and save you in the time of disaster, if they can. For your gods are numerous as the cities Judah. So I highlighted that and I was like, you know what? That is so sad. That is so sad that the minute things get hard or somebody dies, God is to blame, but we put our trust in rocks, we put our trust in tarot cards, we put our trust in zodiac signs, we put our trust in our bank account, we put our trust in our job, we put our trust in our significant other, we put our trust in ourselves, we put our trust in algorithms, we put our trust in the government, we put our trust in the system. And the minute Satan, which owns all of these things, not all of them, but Satan, who roams around the earth and has a huge influence on all of these things, the minute he crosses us, because he's a toothless bastard and that's all he knows how to do, the minute he crosses us, we come crying to God, and God's like, where are all those gods you made for yourself? Why can't they save you? And that just made me so sad, because I'm just thinking about God saying that to us, and I'm just like, it is so sad that we continuously reject him. It is so sad that he watches us do all of that stuff. And the minute things get hard, we tell God, rise up and save us. It's like we're commanding him to do things. And it's like, all I asked you to do was come to me. All I asked you Tuesday night was to pray to me. All I asked you Sunday morning was just to come to church and worship me. And that was too hard for you. But the minute things get hard for you, the minute life starts kicking you, the minute life throws you to the ground, you remember that you have me. And that verse isn't God saying, go cry to your other gods, I don't want anything to do with you. It's God saying, I want everything to do with you. And that's what hurts the most. He wants everything to do with you. And I know God is God. God is a God, of course. But God is the God, the one and only God. But I like to think of God as a parent. And so if my parent was to be saying this to me, their feelings would be hurt. And you know what? Sometimes we have to apologize to God. Obviously, God does not need our apologies. Obviously, God is not going to be sad if we don't validate him because he is God. But it is a sign of humility to just get on your knees and say, God, I am sorry. Like, if people did this type of stuff to me, like, that would hurt my feelings so bad, but we do it to God every single day. And then he's like, you know what, just come to me. And then we bounce back and, oh, everything's okay again. And it's like, you didn't even think to give God an apology. And so I love this chapter of Jeremiah. God just told me to pick up my phone, click record, and start recording this audio. So I hope that you got some things out of this audio. I hope you got some understanding. I read from Jeremiah chapter 2, and I read from the subtitle, The Consequences of Apostasy, I think that's how it's pronounced, and then I read Judgment Deserved. So yeah, let's try to make a better effort to be a better partner to God, to be a better bride, to be a better sister, to be a better brother, to be a better child to God, and not just put him on the back burner or give up on him when things get hard. Because at the end of the day, this validation, this attention, this love you are looking to the world for, they will only give you so much of it until they throw you away and get the next best thing. But God says, you will forever be the apple of my eye. You're the best that's yet to come. You're the best that's to come. You're the best. And he truly loves us. And that's why he won't let us go. And that's why we'll fall 1,000,000 times and he'll pick us up 1,010,000 times and 1,020,000 times. He just loves us too much. And we need to have that same energy towards him.